initial, emotion, values, narrative, provisional, right? So wonderful. So we are using that thought behind, to make this code.
Soft story. So there are two codes that I have added here, and I can see that the 8 codes are represented here.
Now, in the next part, I'm showing you code groups, and that they are also very important because we have to go to higher levels, more abstract levels. That's what the analysis is all about.
I can code picture also, so I can just click onto this picture. Whichever part of the picture is important for me, I just select that one.
So it allows me to select those pictures and I can apply codes over there. The text is not available because I might not see them as quotations, but I know which part of the picture is coding into what.
Right click again. There is another way of adding code which is known as
quick coding. Means the same coding which was used in the last one will be used, just the earlier one. If you click quick coding, just the immediate preceding code will be added to that.
Coding. And I apply quick coding here. It will take the last code that I've used. So if you remember, the last code I used was soft.
Since I use soft story, here also it is I'm getting soft story. That's a term we use in journalism, when the story is not about information, it's about emotions and all. We use the term soft story.
Soft stories. Take this as a soft story as well. I can add more codes if I want, so I just click this again. So I can keep on adding codes.
So I added another code, tags.
Codes to my selection, and it will all be reflected here in this Atlas.ti interface page.
Now you can see the document there. It is showing me 17 documents, 9 codes, 5 quotations. 5 quotations means I've selected 5 paragraphs or 5 sentences from those documents for coding. So it is showing me the kind of quotations.
It shows me 9 codes here. So if I click on the code manager here, this tab is for managing as you know. So if I click on,
I'll be using this code manager and those memo manager and all that very often because I need to bring in a hierarchy to the codes or codes under categories under themes.
the code manager here, and I can see all the 9 codes here. If I want to take some of these codes, for example, soft story, headline, so these two belong to a particular category. I can just select these two, right click.
There is something known as change color, you can see that. So if you want to use certain codes for certain colors, it all depends on your work. I might work differently from you, you might work in a different way. So that if you want a visual representation, just change the color here itself, or you can do that later also. Because whatever you apply here, it is applied to the entire document, to the entire project that is open. So creating groups, code groups. The code book I will be sharing with you today. There are around 49-50 codes and they have been put into 10 different groups. As you can understand, I was telling you yesterday also, you remember that? We had identified 10-12 codes and then we grouped them into 3 major ones. You remember the exercise I gave you? It must be there in your website. So we need, that is the analysis part. Otherwise, if I just tell them this is good, bad or whatever, where is the analysis? That's where the researcher's creative mind comes to the play. That we are saying that this is what it is saying. Because you are seeing something more. The software is helping you something more which is not visible to the layperson. You are an expert. You are saying that these emotional connections lead to this. You are, because you are, why? It just doesn't come like that. You already had a research question like that in mind. And you are answering that research question through these levels. Just coding is the first part. Second part, whether you can club some of those codes into some other higher order and make more sense of it. Am I clear about that?
Yes.
Well.
I can create a new group of code and I can call it placement. is often regarded by some researchers as a group of themes. You go from the first stage of coding to the second stage. So we can have complaint, I can have Delhi, I can have election, I can have foreign, I can have weather, and I can group them together and call them an election theme. So I have two themes now based on the coding of these 9 codes. I have created these 2 themes. Election has 5 codes and placement has 2 codes. Later on we'll see how to create networks from these codes as well. And
so very quickly I'll show you. Shankar, the presentation is here. The content analysis PPT is there on the. You remember that PPT that I was here?
It's on the desktop, sir.
Which one? How to do content analysis? No, the PPT. How to do content analysis. Shall I send it to you? I'm sending it to you by WhatsApp. And let's get it here. Very quickly, I'll just revise this part. कुछ बोल रहे जल्दी साहब?
वो presentation group में है. How to do content analysis.
How to do content analysis? I just wanted to show 2 or 3 slides on that.
Please, look at it.
Is there on the group? Yeah, it's there. You should. Shaluk, I'm sending it to you. Is there on the group also? Could you see that on the group?
Yes, I'll download it.
Yeah. I have also sent it to you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, I just wanted you to understand a bit more into why codes and why themes and why categories, because these are abstract concepts that we as a researcher have found out. Lot of those quantitative things we find out through statistical analysis. It could be regression, it could be structural equation modeling, it could be confirmatory factor analysis or whatever. The data is giving me that input. Here, I am trying to look into, of course the software is providing me all that. I am trying to look at the connections. I am trying to look at the hierarchies. I am trying to look into all these analyses, which is, that is where the rigorous part comes in. Otherwise this won't be, and that's why we are saying this is as important or probably as rigorous or even more rigorous than the quantitative part, which is done by straightaway software, and then the analysis is much more easier, straightforward. P is less than 0.05, we know what to do. If it is a confidence interval is between this and that, we know what that means. Standard deviation plus and minus 3, we know that 99.7% will be there. Those analyses are there because it's parametric tests are straightforward in that sense. This is also very straightforward, but it's a different way of thinking. That's why I just wanted to talk about. This is there on a group. Professor Jirli has already shared that yesterday. I'm not going to talk about all the 61 slides. In fact, that is there as a recorded lecture also. Long years before. The one that I just showed you, this is a edited one. I recorded on the screen and all that I did that. Then before that, there was a web lecture, and I had recorded how to do content analysis there. That's a 3-year-old video. If you want, I can share that link also. But as you can understand, that the recorded lecture will be longer, and it will not be so very quickly edited like the one we were saying. After that, I don't want to add any slide. Okay. This works like a private organization, that works like a government organization. Anyway, I belong to the government organization, so I'm making fun of myself. इतना serious क्यों? Why is everyone serious? as if there's some spiritual discourses going on. This is something very real, something very, yeah.
Sir, code groups later will become the themes.
We might regard them as themes, or we are grouping them so that we regard them as themes. Very good. If I just to emphasize this part, I'm showing you one or two slides from standard content analysis text. I had
So it will not open in the system.
Opera?
So in Office 10 as well.
Activation failed. You will play on this?
Yes, sir.
This one does not require audio. You can play on that also if you want. Because अब audio नहीं चाहिए. अब मुझे सिर्फ उसमें जाना है. सर आपका नाम क्या है? हाँ जी? हाँ जी गुरुराज. हाँ आपका ही तो लैपटॉप में नाम लिखा है, राइट? आप क्रेडिट कार्ड डिटेल्स सब लैपटॉप में है. मैंने लिया.
So small question.
Sir.
The newspaper clippings that you selected for this newspaper election and all those things. So if it is in a JPG form, will the software support that?
See, if it is in a JPG form, I can code it. The software will support the coding, but the quotations that I am getting, it will not be shown. For using the quotations, I'll have to use an OCR software. I mean, OCR software is easily available, optical character recognition. And using those OCR software, I can get. So there are two parts. If I don't need the quotations, then I can just work on the codes and all that, and it is already working. So I showed one of the pictures. In fact, one of the mint things that I selected was a JPEG picture. If I want to use the text inside, I'll have to use a OCR software and then maybe use
The
a
better format is PDF only.
No, it will accept both. PDF is for richer thing, yeah. But it can accept many other formats. It can take a doc, it can take
In case of document, there is no issue at all. So if it is PDF, it is okay.
yeah.
But in case of picture formats, again there are number of violations that we get.
Yeah, because then it is taken as a picture. I can use all the codes and memos and everything on the picture, but the text which I am extracting out of PDF will not be possible. Thank you for the question.
Sir, actually, I have the same question on what sir asked. You said we need to have OCR and not for recognizing the image. Whether it is possible for handwritten images. Like usually
Any images, yeah, handwritten images can go for OCR these days. We can do OCR through handwritten also. You send it to me. I mean, this phone has it straight away. I mean, if you send me anything, in a picture format, scan it. I mean, I can do the OCR straight away and do that. Some of it might not be clear. Somebody who has as bad handwriting as me, the computer also will fail. But
and just another question. So whether it is possible for other languages or restriction?
no, other languages, it's only European languages here. That was a question that these people asked yesterday as well. As of now, unfortunately, and that works for LLM also. And I was in Delhi recently for that IKS meeting, and that is a problem because most of these LLM, the large language models, ChatGPT and Gemini and Claude and all that, they're all based on English and European languages more. But I'm sure China has done a wonderful job of doing their own LLM. So this is something that has to start from our end also. And that's why a lot of these AI applications are not very useful for our regional language newspapers, our Indian language newspapers, Hindi, Kannada, Marathi, Tamil and all that. So that is a problem. But so what I suggested to them was to use the transcript and then to code it. And then because the only difference here will be the AI part of it, the named entity recognition, the concept mining and all that. I'll show you immediately right now. That will not work on Indian languages, but the other part I can work on.
So, suppose I want to fill one. I have some photograph. It has some meaning. How I can code that?
Yeah, you take it as a JPEG, and then you select parts of that photograph and code it whatever. That this is field work, this is anger, this is soil, or this is indigenous training, or what. Depends on your code. You're coding, I mean just the one I selected. You select parts of the pictures and code it. That's what I was responding to Professor Jegli also, that the internal part of it will not be shown, but the coding part of it is there. The analysis part of it is there because you are adding the codes. You can use the same code book and you click and drag and you can provide as many codes as you want. Look at relations, look at other parts, will show you. I mean, look at the querying part and all those kind of things. You can export it as a report. You can export it as an image. You can use it to write down your own.
That image you can see up.
The image, I mean, if there is a network, the one I shared yesterday, if it is a network, it will be an image. If it is just the codes, I can take all the codes and write a report out of it. I can export it as a report and then I can use that to write my own report. Am I clear? And if you are smart enough, you will know how to make use of ChatGPT to write the report.
So, is there any universally accepted code books?
No. I mean, it depends on your research because this is so very, as I said, fluid and is so very individualized. There can't be any. But Atlas.ti has a certain structure of the code book. That the first column will have to be the code, the second column will have to be the description, and the respective columns have to be the code groups. I'll show you. So different software might have a different requirement. Otherwise, people can do it manually. It depends on how deep the analysis is. That is what is required. But I'll advise you to first, today just work into it because it will take time for you to grasp. Immediately if you think that iska kya hoga, aaj try it out. Tomorrow we'll see aur kya kar sakte hain. Today just work on those parts. Immediately if you are thinking of the output, कि क्या होगा नहीं होगा, probably then you will lose out on some of these things then. So today just hard disk खाली करके नई चीजें डाल. And then tomorrow we'll see how to get the output and how to get the analysis. That will be done. If nothing was possible, why would we be doing this? Why would be so many people doing it? And why would sir? Yeah.
Can we use the code book of someone?
Huh?
The similar studies of ours.
I am doing this. I created a code book last night. I will share it with you, and you will use that code book for coding any field. That is what I am going to do today. Right? I did the hard work last night so that your work is easier today and probably more interesting. So that's why I borrowed Guru Nath Ji's computer. Guru Nath Ji's computer, and JD sir helped me.
So the exception properties structured in a particular way to
एकदम ताई, ठीक धरो Absolutely. I'll show you. Nothing to worry. Be happy. Tension लेने का नहीं. Okay. Do ask questions. I invite questions. Please. And see, no question is a bad question. Please, ma'am, please go ahead.
Since the quantitative analysis is dependent upon text images, whether it is possible for video and audio.
Of course, transcripts, part of it, timelines. Here we are selecting parts of it. Then select timelines from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. Then to whatever, you select timelines. Since our job is very, focused, we are not doing that. But you can invite me to Chamaraja University and I can do the one on video. Or you can come down to Calcutta and I can show you at my university.
So you were
I'm just joking, so please.
So you were talking about step words.
Yes, stop words. I like
Stop
stop
words. I asked a question whether a universally accepted code book exists.
For the stop words.
Yes.
For the stop words, again, there are different dictionaries. They use certain, stop words. They don't use stop words because that is used regularly. If I have to create a language model, the first thing I do is remove the stop word. I did a video on how ChatGPT works. If you watch that, I'll show you. Then there are processes called lemmatization. There is called stems and all that. So use just the stems of the words. First of all stop words removed. Then all the different formats removed. Just the stem of the word, and then you tokenize that, and then you do the analysis. So the universal code book, I thought you were talking about, that this is how the code has to be used. But the stop word can have, different things.
Is there a collection of things like this? Or
Yeah. Stop word is there. It is there in inbuilt here. I'll show you what is the stop word here. I'll show it to here itself. That the stop word, there is an inbuilt stop word book. You can add or subtract to that. If you just look for stop words just like that, you'll get it. Stop words, STOP, stop. Stop that, stop words. Right? Please do ask questions. And I love hearing the voice of other people. Because I keep on hearing the voice of myself all the time on video and on real life and all that. So, although I love speaking, but I like to hear other voices as well.
Sir,
Anil,
is there any standardized code book?
that's what I'm saying. See,
No. Prepared by Atlas.ti itself.
no, they have a format. And they tell me that how it is done, and that's how I did. Because
They will provide the format.
the format is there, that's what I'm doing. That's what I told Priyanka, that's what I told Jay Prabhakar sir.
Actually, I tried yesterday to put another Excel, but I could not do that word cloud. That's why I'm asking whether there is any structured way to put that thing in an Excel sheet.
I will discuss that. And by tomorrow, all of these things will be addressed. By tomorrow afternoon, before lunchtime. This is the, USP ki guarantee. USP is my brand name, right? So, a lot of it is very important. You can do it on the desk. Content analysis is a lot of desk work. So that's why it's so very important. I'm not going to get into all that. The first part of it. Through content analysis, it is possible to distill words into fewer content-related categories. It is assumed, please see that carefully, it is assumed when classified in the same categories, words, phrases and the like share the same meaning. So that's the first part of it. We'll leave out the second part. This is what we do. We formulate research questions and hypotheses. We select a sample, just like I selected all those newspapers. You select a document, you select whatever. You define the categories, what are you defining for coding. And by now, all of you are extremely well learned because you know the 7 different kinds of coding, and for you, coding is much easier than others. Reliability test is done, but probably we'll skip that part, and then we analyze and interpret it. That's what we do in content analysis. Thematic analysis, very related, 6 different steps we do. For that, I'll share a video maybe after lunch hour. I'm not going to play that. Okay. This is what I'm going to do. Shall I zoom in or is it visible to everyone? Visible at last? Yeah. So, it can be existing theory or I can just want to devise it myself. I have research question. I have a problem statement. Right? That one is clear. Conceptualization and hypothesis formulation, or that is just, it could be clubbed together. That part is there. Sampling. Very important. Whom do I talk to? In the grounded theory approach, the sampling is related to theoretical saturation. When we reach theoretical saturation, when more number of people do not add to anything, I stop there. Or more number of documents do not add to the theory, I stop there. So that is the concept of theoretical saturation. It's not probability sampling, it's neither. It can be non-probability, but those sampling techniques are put aside. Here, it's more like purposive. I'm looking out to those people. For example, if I'm doing farmer techniques, I'm reaching out to those people who are using those techniques or whatever. They are my sample. How many? As many required for theoretical saturation. It can be done in conjunction with quantitative tests. It is there to add to that kind of a thing or to address some other research questions. Maybe some research questions are addressed by quantitative means, 1 or 2 research questions by the qualitative means. So it's a sampling and unitizing. There are 2 different things. One is sampling, the other is unitizing. What unit of the document to be coded? For example, a newspaper article, whether you are coding the headline, whether you are coding the first paragraph, which in our language we say is the intro, or whether you code each and every line. Am I clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Sampling, unitizing. Coding scheme development. I have, as I said, I developed a coding scheme for the NEP document, which I will share with you and you will use that. Or you can use your own coding, or you can go for open coding. You can, but as I said, this is not a one-off process. एक बार हो गया तो हो गया. This is an iterative process. After reading through, I go back again and then see things which I did not see earlier. Lot like Christopher Nolan's films, you don't understand a sense of what they're saying in the first part. You've seen Inception, you'll know what I mean. You have to watch Inception 2 times or 3 times to know the dream within a dream within a dream, you know what they're meaning. That apart, often the document in the first instance will give me certain inputs. If I read it again, दिमाग की बत्ती और जल जाएगी. Third time, दिमाग की बत्ती पूरी जल जाएगी. So you need to keep on reading and revising it. Am I clear? It's an iterative process. It's a circular process. Data collection. I go to the field. I record. They have audio records. You transcribe it. Now you have such tools in your hands. You can't even imagine. There are so many things. You just put it. It's there. You speak and it's, most of you are already doing it, isn't it? It's recorded. The other part is also done. The entire YouTube summary is possible. Just look for a YouTube summary. AI is changing so many things. So that data collection could be just collecting the documents, could be just collecting those audiovisual scripts that Divyashri ma'am was talking about, or we could just be talking about audio transcripts, open-ended Google Forms. All depends on the research person. Does it make sense? Please tell me whether this diagram makes sense. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Please tell me, everyone, students.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, only Ranjan and Satish. No one. Please tell me yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I want to hear everyone. Use your vocal cords. Your brain starts working. Otherwise, the brain thinks that you have to sleep and it goes off to sleep. You have to trick your brain into believing a lot of things. I did a video on saying that if you have a positive body language, the brain thinks that you are confident and you become confident. Somebody, if you has a negative body language, the brain is tricked into thinking. If you just close all the lights and all, the brain is tricked into thinking that time for sleep and you go to sleep. So you have to trick your brain into doing things. Otherwise you feel sleepy. That's why I have to ask you to exercise your wonderful vocal cords at times. Then we go to reliability testing. As I said, intra-coder reliability and all that. We are not going to discuss that. That's beyond the scope of these 3 days. And then findings and conclusion. This is what we are doing in content analysis. These are taken from standard texts, most of the standard texts. So this is what they do in content analysis most of the time. This is what we are doing. This is why qualitative data analysis is important. So this is how we go for whether there's an interesting problem that needs to be elucidated. I don't want to get into that. I'm not going to get into all that, but as you can see that what are the ways of coding? This is the meaning unit. I condense that, and from that I get codes. Since we've already discussed how to create codes and all that, I'm not getting into this literal part of it. But there are different ways of using. This is kind of an in vivo coding, using the actual words to talk about the codes. Am I clear? Does it make sense? We condense it and further, just the sense of it. This is important. We go from lower level of abstraction to higher level of abstraction. Lower level, you can just take it as the units. These are texts, documents or whatever. These documents you code to category. category to an overarching theme. That's our job, to find all of these things.
So that one is code category.
From code to category. And a lot of categories to themes. Am I clear about that?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no? Please tell me whether this makes sense. This is why I have put that in this kind of a thing. So we are going from lower level assumption. That is our work. From the entire NDP document, looking at what are the main themes, what are they talking about, etc., etc. And this is what we will be doing most of the times. From these meaning units, because as I was saying, a lot of those words will have the stop words, remove it and then the condensed meaning units. And then code them, code into category, category to theme, and finally the overarching theme. Maybe from code to overarching theme is also possible, but this is basically what we are doing in qualitative analysis. This is where our work is. This is where the creativity must come out. Does it make sense? Does it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful.
So I have a question.
Please.
How much do you think the subjectivity of a researcher will enter in, and how can we reduce that subjectivity?
No, that we don't reduce the subjectivity.
We keep
In qualitative analysis, it is through the prism of the researcher. If you see that yesterday, I put that straight out. We are not putting it. I mean, if Datta Niranjan does it, it will be Datta Niranjan's work. If Satish does it, it will be Satish's work. But the coding part of it has to be reliable. Otherwise, this analysis will be different. But your interpretation is your interpretation. We said that when we spoke about qualitative research. We said that it is descriptive and emphasis on process. How people negotiate with it. So the researcher is not out. The researcher is a part of the exercise. Where those 10.
I'm still coming to the same point, sir. Still as a researcher, how can I keep that subject, though by interpretation, okay, I have a way of interpreting those things. As a researcher, how I should think in that way that I keep the subjectivity minimal and acceptance at maximum. So
let me put it differently. There are no value judgments. I keep my value judgments out. There is nothing good or bad. Right? It's there. I keep my value judgments out. But then, it is through and this is a different philosophy, as I said. It is not a realist philosophy. It is a nominalist philosophy. It is an interpretive philosophy. It's a hermeneutic philosophy. We are by definition, we are saying that, it will be not generalizable. But at the same time, we have to ensure that all the value judgments, I don't want to say that this is not the right way. No, there is no right way. Whatever way is that is the way. I'm just to refer to that. I guess that's what you're trying to suggest. No, I'm not. I'm no one to bring in my opinions there. But of course, my context will be there, and I'm not at all even assuming that it will be generalizable. I'm just providing one interpretation, one context. Use it in your policy making. Use it to understand a situation better. Use it to understand the perspective of an activist or the perspective of a person who's been discriminated against or the person who's going through all that. Use it like that. It's an anecdotal evidence. Use it as a qualitative evidence. It's not a generalizable evidence. Caste A has voted for party A, 50%. Why have they done it? It can't be done through a survey. It has to have a qualitative input. Yes, Sudarshan sir, it makes sense. I mean, in terms of political, campaigns. So for that, I need to talk about, people. It can be representative. It can be unique cases. But that does not mean that everyone will have the same experience. But this is one experience that I'm talking about. And I can't say that you are doing good, you are doing bad, you are doing this, you are doing that, nothing like that. But by definition, this is interpretive. By definition, it is through the prism of the researcher. I can't keep the researcher out of it. But there are these caveats. Of course, I'm no one to have any value judgments. I must be very clear about the coding part of it. It has to be reliable. Otherwise, the entire system falls flat. Am I clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Everyone, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, I think that I'm giving a pravachan and everybody is going off to sleep. This is so very real and
He is ready, sir.
He's ready? Wow, this is just that. Just give him 2 or 3 minutes. that will come.
If you go to the field and collect the audio data, either through or from equipment. So to transcribe that, are there any specific software?
There are a lot of AI software. I'll discuss that tomorrow. One of these people also spoke about that. There are lots of AI tools. You just put it, it's transcribed. I mean, it's getting better by the day. We'll talk. We'll have a discussion on AI tomorrow. And we'll do that.
But only in English, right? Other schools are only English, not the local language.
They are starting up in English.
Kannada to English, will you do?
We'll have to find out. I mean, a lot of those things are there. Otherwise, you'll have to do the tough task of transcribing it, and then the translating and all part is done by the software.
IIT Madras is developing that regional language transcription.
Even as I said, even the IKS people at Delhi, there is a Ganti Murthy, there is a person from Satish's place. He's the head of that, and he's working on that in a big way. So many people are working on that. One of you should also work on that. It's very easy. Localized language models are very easy to form. I mean, LLMs, you can do that. Working on a local thing. We'll talk about LLMs tomorrow. There are a lot of techno-savvy people. We should talk about that. Let us see and let us have an explanation on that. But as of now, we will concentrate on the what the software can do. So I'll just complete this part so that when I come back before the lunch, we'll do the coding part. Okay. And as I said, the coding part, just to make it interesting, I worked out a code book also. So we'll work on that and all that. So the purpose of creating categories is to provide a means of describing the phenomenon. So why we are creating those categories? To describe the phenomenon, to increase understanding and to generate knowledge. So this is why the abstraction process we are continuing as far as possible. And more experienced researchers can see to that. And that is why, I created that kind of a categorization for you. That this is the way of thinking, these are the way of codes, this is how you go up and all. So, because you know your research questions better than anyone else. You know that what abstraction is required. Just that it should be defendable. If you're saying something, it is through the prism of the researcher, you should be able to defend it robustly. Just saying, no, I felt like that. No, what is the reason you think that this abstraction is required? Why do you think that this abstraction and not any other abstraction is correct? Am I clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this is why that abstraction. That is where the creativity comes in. Research is a very creative process. How to use elements to make best use of that. If it was just in a straight box, then it would have been done by ChatGPT. You don't have to do anything. ChatGPT does a lot of those things much better. You can use ChatGPT for rewriting also. It does a better job than Grammarly. Yes. In fact, I pay $23.6 every month to get the Pro version. So just to tell you that productivity increases many-fold. A lot of those things, I can just give it a template and ask them to write an email, it does it quickly. It's one digital assistant that you should have. As I said, written material is read again and again, and as many headings as necessary are written down to describe all aspects of the content. So in the first open coding, write down whatever. You might delete it later, but write down everything. Write down memos, write down comments, I'll show you all that. Am I clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Open coding, very important. And this is to be emphasized because young people don't have all the patience in the world. We did not have patience when we were young. You are, in a different generation, so you have less patience than us. Shweta, say something? Yes. Say something? Oh. Read and reread the text. Write down your initial impressions. That's why memos are for. Write down. Your phone also has a note thing. Just write down. I'll show you my notes are about 6,000 notes. Just write down wherever it comes. Later on, dimag ki batti will be somewhere else. There's only one word processor in your mind. Believe me, and that is very important. And that's why whenever our students they start opening their mobile, I said that there's only one word processor. Either you process the words on your mobile or you process my thoughts. So then you can't do. If you're thinking multitasking is possible, not possible. Believe, take it from me. Don't ever do that. I mean, whatever time, give it totally. And the best time management is if you give specific times. A lot of people say that, "Arey, aap itne alag-alag kaam." So I said, I give specific time. From 8 to 8:30, I'll do that. Come what may. At times I need to do that. Give specific times. From 9:30 to 12, I'll do that. Sometimes it might fail, but you're giving yourself, And make sure that you follow your own deadlines. मैं जो कहता हूँ वो जरूर करता हूँ, और मैं जो नहीं कहता हूँ मैं definitely. So make your own deadlines, so very important. That the time management will be important. Sir, I will do that. And when will you do that? Sir, next week. Next week when? 14th September. What time? Make it as specific as that. Time management becomes very easy. And that's what, if you have all the best practices, it becomes a part of you. Then you're not just going to take it anything like that. So reading, what is the next saying, writing memos and all that, is a good ask. Code can be thought of as a label, kind of a label. A name that most exactly describes what this meaning unit is about. And you did that exercise yesterday. And you did that very well. So you already know that. Make sure it is a part of you. Category, grouping together these codes. So I'm just telling you, in the code category, theme, overarching theme. You already know that, so I'll very quickly go through all that. So underlying meaning, latent meaning, which is not available, which is not understandable. I as a researcher am bringing that out. Something which is relevant, something that is useful, something that makes sense, something that is scientific. It is just one part. Reflective process. I mean, you have to, as I said, adjust after first analysis. Keep reflecting, thinking. And that's why this is a very important part of the research process, the reflection part of it. Preparation phase I've already spoken about. I don't want to get into all these details here right now, but at times, this kind of a thinking, and that's very important, as we say. When we say the right perspective. Just 1 or 2 more minutes before we go for tea, coffee, or whatever. It's very important to have the right perspective. You have whatever the good cinema hall here in Dharwad. Do you have cinema halls here? Multiplex. If you go very close to the screen, can you watch anything? You just see pixels, big pixels or whatever. Isn't it? If we go very close to the screen, I mean, only pixels, it doesn't make sense. If you go very far, then also you can't understand anything. All those pictures are hazy and all. It's very, very important to have the right perspective, the right distance. If I'm very, very close to the subject, probably I might not be able to see the things that are to be seen. If I'm very, very away, very different, very far away from the subject, then also I will not be able to understand what the thing is. Then also coding will be different. That's why this kind of a contextualization, recontextualization, the right distance is important. Having the right distance, neither very far nor very close. And that you have to understand that, because we think that, "Arey nahi, ye sach hi bol raha hoga," otherwise. It's fine. But have that critical outlook, have that scientific outlook, that okay, this has to be categorized like this. And I, as Dr. Niranjan was saying, that's very, very important. That we can't be so very close that all our managements are so very far that everything we are looking at in a different kind of a prism. So that's very important, and that's where, as a researcher, keeping the right distance. That's important. The first part. Well, I mean, there are 2 parts of it. One is something which is said, other which is latent. It's meant. It's between the lines. Your job is to look at both. Something which is manifest will be done by the software very easily. something which is latent sarcasm, this, that, metaphorical, etc., you will have to work hard on that. Very often we are very sarcastic, isn't it? Just a very small joke, and we are sarcastic, isn't it? अरे लेट करा दिया, बड़ा अच्छा किया, मैं 24 घंटे बैठा रहा, अच्छा था, बढ़िया था, बिना खाए पिए बैठा रहा, मुझे थोड़ा सा फास्टिंग कर दिया, अच्छा है, बढ़िया. We are very sarcastic at times, isn't it? Are we? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
In all languages, I'm sure we do. So there was this gentleman whose flight was delayed by 24 hours on some airline. I'm not going to name the airline. So he wrote that sarcastic tweet. I'm so happy that you delayed my flight by 24 hours. I slept on the floor and I could smell this, that, or whatever. And I was just exuberant, this, that. So he was actually sarcastic, and giving them gali in a, bhadro manner. The chatbot did not realize it. It thinks that it is praising the airline. Said, we are so happy you had this experience. We'll ensure that you have this experience again and again. Please come to us again. So the chatbot did not understand the sarcasm. The latent meaning was not clear to that. Now they are ahead. Because one of the things that the LLMs do, they do that reinforcement learning. And they get better. And every time you give them a thumbs up, they know that's something. That's why it's different from normal coding. So that's very important to look at the latent meaning. The manifest meaning is clear through the use of those keywords and all that. Latent meaning is also something that we have to know about. So analysis of what the text says deals with the content, and the latent aspect is the interpretation, and that's where we as researchers come in, and that's where our job as humans will always be very, very important. Inductive and deductive, that's the first thing I spoke of yesterday. Deductive, the theory exists. From that theory we are trying to draw. Inductive, we are trying to bring out grounded theory kind of an approach, trying to theorize based on the data that we have. A lot of the coding and all will be inductive also. So what are the resources? It can be from the data, it can be from emergent research questions, it can be from policy issues, substantive issues, it can be imagination, it can be intuition, it can be previous knowledge. So please go through this slide also, as you can understand that spend hours making that slide so that we put everything together, and they're all based on some very important text. So please go through that. Probably you might, you can jump through whatever is required, but this is important. How do you get those codes and how do you get those categories? From the literature. If you don't read literature, you won't know that these are the options. If you're not aware of the policy issues, you will not know what are these options. So that's how that reading and everything is important. Right? Otherwise, the software will do a lot of things on its own, but that is not sufficient most of the times. I don't want to extend into that. It's the same part, in a more thing. And just codebook part we're talking about. So the codebook that we are showing you today, it will have a code, it will have a description. At times we might have a sample, but if I have a sample for Atlas.ti, it will get troubled. So I'll show you two codebooks. One is not the nice one, the other one is the okay one. So you will see that. So codebook is important, because if we want to share our work, so for example, I have done a work, I can share it with you and you can start coding on that. So as soon as we come back from tea or coffee, we'll start working on the no, it can be in Word format also. And there are many books in PDF format also. Depends. Excel is easier. So but if you have a code book, say did content analysis, very good. Where is the code book? Here it is.
I think let us share that what you.
Yeah.
So then we'll go for tea.
You want to share the code book or not?
Right now.
Achha.
So that we'll have tea and come back.
Is there on this, can you take it from here?
Yes, sir, I'll take it.
Yeah. Or you can take it on a pen drive from me, and we will import that document into the Atlas.ti. बोले ना नहीं वो उधर So, are we ready, friends?
Yes, sir.
Ready, everyone? Are you ready? Everybody continues to be in a state of rest unless compelled by an external force to do otherwise. Inertia of rest. So that's why I'm compelling you to come out of the inertia of rest. So, let's name the project first. Name it whatever. You can name it CMDR1 or create so the first part, and we did that yesterday a little bit. I'll start off with the inbuilt AI coding which is already there, and all of you will work on that, so you will work along. As I'm doing it here, please do it on your laptop and work it. It might appear very simple, but when you do it, you will see that there might be certain things that need understanding. Yes, MSW students, it's there on your laptop. It's very simple. I mean, we just have to make sense of. This is the problem. See, this becomes very slow. Can we use that one? I mean, क्योंकि ये बहुत slow है. ये एक से दूसरा आने में इतना time लगा देगा, disturb कर देगा. The RAM is slow here. Is it okay if I work on you can transfer to this one? Because you understand the problem, Shankar? This is
Yes, sir. I do understand.
the RAM is very, very slow. I have lots of patience, but I don't want to waste your time, into this waiting game. Please do ask a lot of questions as I put it there. Do ask questions. That will make your job a lot easier. Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So that's an agreement. Do ask questions as we work along. The first part, I will use word frequency, I will use word list, I will use named entity definition, I will use sentiment analysis, I will use opinion mining, I will use concept mining. And I will use all that to create automatic codes. And after that you can do some manual coding. After that I will show you how to import a code book, and then you will have to apply those codes onto your work. Am I clear? And later, maybe on the same document or on a different document, I will ask you to create a code book and to do that exercise. That will have to be done today. So most of the work will have to be done by you now. We are into the true hands-on exercise. Now we have all the knowledge that is required. In fact, more than what is required. Now let's implement it. Right? Agree, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's look forward to a very interesting understanding of. Is the screen visible? Yes. What do I have to do now? I'll add document. I will add file. And it is here in my downloads folder. Do you have access to that document? Yes. Everyone?
Yes.
So let's import that document. Can you see that on your system, everyone?
Yes.
All of you?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. So this one, this is the advantage of software like Atlas.ti, that I can see the PDF in its original form. And I can work on that. I can zoom that. I can do whatever I want to do that. So it is there. It's there for everyone. Let's now first of all do the easy part, as I said, search and code. We discussed word frequencies yesterday. Word frequency. I will have to select the document. Unless I select the document, no word frequency is possible. You select the document from here. If you have more than one document, you can select all documents. If you have document groups, you will select different document groups. You can have different groups also. I select. This is what I